remember that they're changing my voice. Here in part 2, we're going to talk about Proverbs 34. Okay? Proverbs 34 is something that has to be put in its context to help you understand, because they speak with such intensely figurative language that it is confusing. When I first read it, I didn't quite know what they were talking about. I knew it had to do with Christ and God. I knew it had to do with the mighty warrior spirit of God, but I didn't quite know what they were referring to. It took a lot of research and a lot of connecting the dots to definitively prove what it was saying. Proverbs 30, sayings of Agur, son of Jakeh, an inspired utterance. This man's utterance to Ithiel. I am weary, God, but I can prevail. Surely I am only a brute, not a man. I do not have human understanding. I have not learned wisdom, nor have I attained to the knowledge of the Holy One. Who has gone up to heaven and come down? Whose hands have gathered up the wind? Who has wrapped up the waters in a cloak? Who has established all the ends of the earth? What is his name, and what is the name of his son? Surely you know. Okay? New Living Translation is fist. Now this is part of why all these Satanists argue. They argue that Christ magically is God and magically is equal to God, which is false. The reason why they do that has to do with psychology. You see, Psyche was a Greco-Roman deity, right? A Greek deity. And that's where we get the word psychology. So they're using association to try to brainwash your subconscious mind into associating their white oppressor image of Christ, it's a false image, with God Almighty, and thinking that he's equal, because Satan uses what's called magic spells, but it's really psychology and chemistry and stuff like this, magic tricks, okay, to try to put himself in the place of God. That's what that is about. And that triggered a lot of Muslims to get very angry, a lot of what's called Unitarians, people who don't argue that Christ is God, to get very angry, and it created all kinds of chaos and divided people and so on and so forth, instead of just telling the truth. How do you truly unite people in the truth? If it's not the truth, it's not worth uniting for that idea. Okay, so this person pointed out that he's a brute and not a man because he hasn't truly gained human understanding, because he's not in the divine order. Okay? He pointed out that he doesn't have wisdom, true godly, moral wisdom, true martial wisdom, and has not attained knowledge of the Holy One, which is God. Okay? God and his Son, who's the representative of God. So this is part of where it gets confusing. The way the Bible is written, it's like referring to Christ at times as if he's God, but it's not. Okay? It's like referring to, the phone as if it's the person on the other side of the phone. Say he's on the phone, yeah. Tell him. You show him the phone, right? But the phone isn't him. Okay? And I don't like the way they explain things, because it takes you down a labyrinth of explanations. It takes you down a labyrinth of possibilities as you try to explain what's going on, and you refine what, your communication. It's a waste of time, right? Bible and babble. But anyway. So it says, who has gone up to heaven and come down? Whose hands have gathered up the wind, right? So who has this knowledge? Because through martial arts, they've gone up to heaven and come back down. I said in part 1, okay, see, the Lord has one who is powerful and strong like a hailstorm and a destructive wind, right? He's compared to the destructive wind. He's gathered up the destructive wind. He's part of the essence of the destructive wind with God, right? So it says, who has come up to heaven and come down, whose hands have gathered up the wind, who has wrapped up the waters in a cloak, who has established all the ends of the earth. What is his name, and what is the name of his son? Surely you know. It says, surely you know, because it's the top martial arts ever, right? It's not a mere scientist or president or model or rap star or rock star or whoever. This is actually the ideal. And people used to fight in all kinds of single combat, right? Horus versus Set, David versus Goliath, right? Hector versus Achilles, and on and on and on, okay? Where it's established that that's how you proved who was the idol. Excuse me, who was the ideal and who was just a mere idol.